This week's episode is brought to you by Audible and Robinhood. We'll hear more from them later, but now, on to the show. Everyone, welcome back to Movies and Nonsense. I actually have the episode number written down. We are episode 15 right now of Movies and Nonsense, and we're going back over into kind of, I guess, the comedy realm rather than movies, a little bit more nonsense with this next guest, but we have a lovely guest, a funny guest on this show. We have Gina, is it Christopher, I believe? Gina Christopher?
Gina Christopher. Mm-hmm.
There we go. Welcome to the show, Gina.
Thanks, Jared.
Don't worry, I'm not going to mess up names because that's not what I do.
I know, it's like, no, that's fine. Cody's girlfriend.
Yes,
I'm sure she
yes.
does have a beautiful name.
If people aren't aware, kind of because you're not on YouTube, you're doing comedy and whatnot, so kind of tell the viewers, the listeners or whatever, who you are, what you do, all that jazz.
All that jazz? Oh, man.
All that jazz.
So, yeah, I do, I'm a stand-up comedian in Bend, Oregon. I go by Gina Marie Christopher on stage just because I think people will look that up and less people have that name. Like, I have such a generic fucking name, it's hard to be famous. I guess not as generic as Cody Michael, but...
Oh, yeah, that's super generic. That's like two first names.
Yep. I know we had that in common. We've been in love ever since.
Yeah. So that's how obviously I got in touch with you, or am kind of aware of you, because obviously you're dating Cody. For people who aren't aware of who Cody is, he was on, I believe, 2 episodes ago. But yeah, you guys are out in Bend. You're doing comedy. You're doing all that stuff and whatnot. But I don't know. I've met you a handful of times, and I think that we share a little bit of love for a few different topics. But I definitely wanted to have you on this show to, again, kind of just have a platform for, your comedy and whatnot, because again, I don't know your background of just comedy in general. Like, I guess, screw it, let's just get into it. How long have you been doing stand-up comedy?
I've been doing it for a little over a year. And sorry, Cody came in.
Oh, what the heck, man, get out of the room.
I know. It's like, friggin' leave. I'm doing a podcast. God.
Mom. God.
But no, I've been doing it for a little over a year now. I don't really know what kind of came over me. I was at a dead-end relationship. I felt like I was doing a lot of repetitive things. And then I kind of just looked up on Google. I was like, how does somebody become a comedian? And I found a forum that said, find your favorite comedian. They probably wrote a book. Read that book and kind of go from there. So I ended up buying Amy Poehler's Yes Please, and I read that like fire. Like, I went through that like so fast, and I like totally inspired me. Like, I felt like our childhoods were the same, and then like I'm in my early 20s, and I found that like right up until my age, like we were doing the same exact stuff. Like, except she went to Chicago where I like went to Oregon. But she ended up being in a UCB with like Matt Besser and Tina Fey, and started doing improv and just working as a waitress, living in a shitty apartment, and just doing it for like the love of performing. And so then I was like, oh shit, I gotta join an improv group. Like, I've never done improv. I've never even tried. I don't know any of the rules. And so I just looked up on Google Improv 101 Bend, Oregon, and the first thing that like popped up was like, do you want to be in an improv group? And I was like, I do. And then I ended up being part of Big, which is Bend Improv Group here in Bend. They taught me everything I know about improv, and to be honest, if I didn't take that improv classes that they had and was in that group, there's no way I could be a stand-up comedian. I needed those tools in order to write jokes, and I kind of just wanted to test my hand at it, and I ended up doing amazing the first time. If I didn't do amazing the first time, I probably wouldn't still be doing it. And so it just kind of has been this crazy like roller coaster ride from there. I've been booked like this last month. I was probably on stage about 15 times, and I'm helping produce a show in a bigger venue here in Bend called the Capitol. And it's just been kind of this weird, like crazy lucky like bullshit. Like, I have no idea. Like, some people ask me, they're like, how do you even do it? And I'm like, I don't know like what's happening tomorrow I could be like exposed for some scandal, and then like
You got to clean up those tweets.
I know, and I like have been going through them. Like I've been trying to find apps where you can like go through your Twitter, because I've had mine for a really long time. And I'm like, I don't know what stupid bullshit I said when I was like 12.
Oh, there's definitely some sketchy stuff if you had Twitter at 12.
Yeah, I easily said like constantly, like as a 12-year-old, like, these are funny. Daniel Tosh says them. And now I'm like, oh boy.
Times have definitely changed a bit.
No, Gina Christopher will not age well, I'll tell you that.
Well, I guess I'm just surprised because, again, I don't know you that well. I thought that you had been doing this a hell of a lot more than 1 year. You've only been doing, like, so you started stand-up in 1 year ago, or improv, or just the whole shebang?
I started stand-up 2 Octobers ago, yeah. So, not this last October, but the October before. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I know. I'm aware. Like, like a lot of people are like, oh, you've probably been doing it for like years. Like when me and Cody say how long we've been doing it, like they're surprised like that I've been doing it so much less time than him. And also I have some quick beef. I listened to that podcast he was on. I am definitely funnier than him.
You know what's funny? That's actually a question here that I was going to ask. So you answered my question right there.
I'm skipping right to that question. Go to question 6. I'm funnier. And the only reason I'm like...
Now, is it straight up, you're funnier, you're the funnier one? Or are you going to take the easy way out and say that you both kind of cater to the shows in different ways?
You know, I would have said that.
Yeah.
But I remember I was cleaning my room, listening to that podcast, and you said, so who's funnier? And Cody did not even hesitate. He just said, me. So fuck that. I'm funnier. And like, it is a constant thing. Honestly, if we weren't both funny, like, I think we'd be worse off as comics. Like he is hilarious. Cody makes me laugh like so hard all the time. And then his jokes are okay.
No, that's definitely a plus with obviously the relationship and stuff. But I guess again, a lot of these questions now I don't even feel like are even relevant, because I thought you were like in this for a long haul, like leading up to it. For example, like maybe high school, or before you moved out to Oregon. Were you in speech, anything like that in high school?
Nope, I didn't. I did musicals, but I was never like a lead or anything. I was like a backup person, had like one line. I grew up in a really small school though, so it was easy to get attention. Like I graduated with like 60 kids, and I don't know. We had like a broadcasting class. I guess that's the closest thing I have to like performing is like musicals and like a broadcasting, like where you do the school announcements. But other than that, like, definitely not. I was very timid and very shy as a kid.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't want to one-up you, but my class was 38, so definitely smaller than that.
Oh, see? But you get it, right? Like, it's like, I don't know. I feel like you can find the spotlight so much easier if you go to a smaller school rather than like kids out here going to school and they're graduating with like 1,200 kids. And I'm like, how?
Oh, yeah. That was like, I talked to a couple people around here and it was like 2,000, and I'm like, that's bigger than my whole hometown and everything like that. But I think definitely coming from a smaller school kind of helps out and whatnot. But man, that's just crazy. One day you were like, I want to do comedy. You just Googled it. You didn't even practice. You were just like, Google, how do I do comedy?
I straight up just Googled it. And it was like, here you go. And I'm like, why isn't everyone doing this? And then I hear all the rules like later. Like, for example, I'm from Buffalo, New York originally. And I just went back home, surprised my mom for Christmas. And every time I go somewhere, I try to link up with a comedy club to just get time. And mostly to see if I'm funny in other cities, not necessarily like because I think I'm a big shot. And I'll contact clubs and I'm like, hey, like I have like a tape of 45 minutes. I'm booked regularly. I don't want a featured spot or anything, but like if you need an opener, like a fresh taste, like young mind, like... And I emailed so many clubs, and one club responded back to me, and they were just like, basically they're like, you have the audacity to
What?
ask to perform at our club. Like, you've only been doing, we looked you up on Google. We couldn't even find you. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I'm not walking around acting like I'm like the shit.
Yeah.
Here I am, but like not like
Yeah.
in bigger cities. I understand that I'm a newbie, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not bad. And they're just like, you don't get it. You need to be doing comedy for 5+ years to even get a hosting spot here. And I'm like, well, that's dumb. Like,
Holy
but okay,
shit.
however you want to run it. And that's like how it's been, though. Like, in the rules of comedy, like, I am breaking a lot of them.
Yeah.
And like, people are kind of seeing it as arrogance, but I'm just like, I don't know, like, I'm doing okay over here, but if that's how you want to run it, I guess that's how you want to run it.
It's almost like the club or whatever that contacted you that was like, oh, the audacity.
Yes.
It's like, do you need a college degree in this before you can even get on stage?
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And the thing is like, what college am I supposed to go to for stand-up comedy? Like, I guess I could go to like UCB or something like that, but like, that's not even like validating. I don't know. I find that
is
like,
it, sorry to cut you off, but is a
Sorry.
piece of paper going to tell
No,
you
no,
that
no.
you're funny, or going up and doing it actually like firsthand?
yeah, exactly. Like, I know comics that have been comics for 10 years, and they're in Portland, and I'm like, you're funny, but like, I hope I'm funnier than that in 10 years. And like, whatever process there is, like, I don't mean to say that like that, but it's like, whatever process this is, like, it's obviously not working. And I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to go against the grain and do things my way and then see what happens. Like, so far it's been great. So I don't know. I have been called cocky or like arrogant before, like with comedy.
Oh,
and
you
I don't mean to
definitely
be.
have that tone right now.
Yeah, no, I fuck the rest of you. I'm amazing.
Well, you know what? You brought up quite a few things that are gonna set off some questions now. So, like, obviously, again, you're fairly new and you Googled this. Like, I'm curious on what your writing process is like.
Oh, it's, I think,
Unless that's a
terrible.
secret, unless it's a trade secret or
No,
something.
not really. I basically describe it to people as I like, you know, when you like are singing in the shower or the car, like, I'm just monologuing. So like,
Yeah.
my commute to work is like 25 minutes. I'm just like straight up talking to myself all the time. Like a crazy person, which I think most comedians are crazy. I want to say that too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, you
none
definitely
of
need
us-
that kind of borderline crazy gene to be a little bit funny.
Yeah, because you're trying to be relatable to people's like problems. Like, nobody is making jokes about how great their life is, you know. So
Well,
I
maybe
just, like,
they are, but
I'm
they're not
constantly
good.
like ranting all the time. Yeah, they're not good. Damn it, they've been doing it for 10 years. Shit. But no, I basically I replaced singing in the shower and singing in the car with just me monologuing, and then I'm a bartender as well, and so with my regulars I'll rant to them, or like even just customers. And the thing is like, in the service industry, you find those like stories that like everyone likes, and I love to make people laugh like at work, because I feel like then you're having a good time. Like, I try to be somebody's friend that's like a total stranger at my job, A, because tips, and then B, hopefully they'll come back, right? And I have found that like certain stories make people laugh, and they can be relatable, and they like them. And so I've been telling the same stories over and over again to everybody that comes into the bar, and then they laugh, and I'm still talking, and they're asking me questions, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of like a joke. And then I like would write it down, and then I would go do it at open mic, and then it would end up being a hit. So
Man,
that's
yeah.
how I do it. So I don't know how
It
everybody else
basically,
does.
yeah, it's like your trial before you even get up on stage for like the open mic. It's like you're testing the waters with, you know, patrons that are coming into your bar and everything like that. That's crazy. So, I mean, I guess practicing at the bar, or, you know, shooting the jokes off of people. Do you like practice? Because I didn't even ask Cody about this, but like your stage presence, because from the few times I saw you go up, you're not too mobile. But do you practice that?
I wouldn't say I like practice. I actually was just looking up ways to help my like posture and like facial expressions, because I find when people are very animated, it brings out like, it's just like few niches that like can make a joke funny. Like, for example, when I pause in a joke, like that like awkward pause, like not necessarily waiting for laughter, but like to let the joke set into somebody. I want to start making those facial expressions or animated things. Like the other day I like winked and like did a finger gun at like the lady at the first row because I said I said that I thought Chris Brown was Italian because he seems to talk with his hands. And then I just like kind of let it settle, and then I looked at the lady in the front row and just like pow. So like those kind of things I'll try to do, but I'm not like running across the stage like Cat Williams or anything.
Yeah. I was gonna say there's definitely a whole genre of comedians that are over the top and like that. But I do like how you're kind of saying that, because adding those extra little things into it is almost an extra joke on top of that joke that's gonna grab the people that maybe the actual joke didn't grab.
Right. And like I find when I listen to stand-up comedian tracks, like I used to go to college like 2 hours away from my house, so I would drive obviously a lot, and I would listen to Pandora, like stand-up comedy, because it would keep me awake. And all the time you would hear a track and like a comedian would say something, and then they wouldn't be talking, but the audience would still be like laughing really hard. And like for the long, because I never watch stand-up specials, so I've always been like, what are they doing?
What is happening?
I need to know. And so I think obviously the main thing is the audio. The jokes are all audio, but to add in those little things, I think makes you a better comic, to be versatile, you know. Versatility. Have versatility. Yeah.
I mean, hell, it sounds like, again, you figured it out via Google, and
just
Google
through and the internet.
Yeah, through practice, through everything. It sounds like, and again, you're saying that you're booking quite a few shows. I'm curious because, like, again, you mentioned that you reached out to that other comedy club, and they're like, we can't find you on Google. We don't think you're good. How do you essentially, I guess, promote yourself?
I am terrible at like the internet part of it. I have like a decent amount of following that I have acquired over the past year with comedy, which has been awesome. And I'm starting to get to know a lot of more people on the West Coast. But I think that's where that 5-year like minimum happens, is because you have that's what I'm assuming is, at least you have 5 years to get your name out there. And that's when you can start, like, I guess as like the bare minimum is 5 years. But I personally, I'm so bad at it. I just try to like, I guess when I talk to a lot of people, because like I said, working at the bar, I talk to a lot of people. And I also work up at the mountain here in Bend, which is like the hub for everyone in the winter. And I don't know, I'm a really personable person, and I talk to strangers all the time. And then I just say like, hey, like I'm doing comedy, and like they tell a friend, they grab someone for a date, and then they show up, and if they like me, they'll come again, they'll tell more people. So I'm a more like face-to-face kind of person. I'm not very good like on paper. That's what I try to say constantly. Like, if you meet me, you'll love me, but if you see my accomplishments, you'll throw it out.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like I would feel like you're kind of running the promotion style of, like, honestly, like 20, 30 years ago, where social media didn't exist. And I'm curious on how other comics kind of run that stuff, because I mean, if you're you're big on Twitter, aren't you kind of just throwing away all of your jokes there?
I wouldn't say like throwing away. I like to use Twitter as like a one-liner like bank for myself. Like if I think something's funny, I'll either write it down in my notebook, or I'll like throw a one-liner on Twitter and like see how the reactions are there. But I honestly use Twitter mostly for me. I know I don't really have that big of a following base on there, but I don't know. I wouldn't say like it's throwing away. Like, if anything, you're giving if I had a bigger following, or if I do have a small following, I'm giving them kind of like a taste of like my personality and my comedic sense. And then they'll be like, yeah, that's why I like her.
Yeah, like this that kind tweet, of retweet it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like that whole aspect of anything and everything now is like, you know, you have to be, I wouldn't say on all the time, but you have to have this following to prove to a promoter, to anyone, that it's like, oh, I can do this, which it just sucks because, yeah, a number doesn't equate, like your example, how funny you are, a number doesn't equate to that.
And I know it does, like, in the sense of like fame, because if I go out of town, you know, to Buffalo, the other side of the country, and they're like, Gina Marie Christopher live. Like, I know that people in Buffalo are gonna be like, who the heck is that? Like, I'm not gonna go see this chick. I don't know who she is. So I totally get that from that standpoint. But I find that whenever I go, and like this is true, the only city that this hasn't happened in is Minneapolis. Every single time I have gone to an open mic in another city, whoever is running that open mic comes up to me and asks me, "Are you free this weekend?" It has
Holy
happened
shit.
every single time. It happened. I was in Cedar Rapids with Cody, and we were at the Penguin Club.
Yep.
Penguin Comedy Club, and great venue and like great guys running it. And there was a few guys. There was one dude that was from New York City that was there, and I made a joke about how I was from New York because he got to go on for 8 minutes because he was from New York, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a rule. Is that nationwide? And so I like pulled out my license on stage, and I was like, so I'm from New York. Do I get to just talk forever about nonsense? Like, okay. Mm-hmm. And so I did my bit, and then I got off stage, and he's like, oh my God, you're from New York? Like, where? Like, I would love to get you on this club, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh no, I live in Oregon now. I don't live there anymore. But it's just like, it was crazy. Like every single club I've been to, I even went to Tokyo, Japan. I was there on vacation.
Wow.
And I went and I did an English open mic. And first of all, I was one of 2 women, and then like 15 men. And I was the only American. And I did a whole bit about birth control. And they just thought it was like the funniest thing to a woman coming up and talking about sex. They like, it blew their minds. They were like, this is so risque. Like, are you living here? And then the next day I got booked for a crazy big show and by Stand Up Tokyo, and I got like paid really well, like free meal, free beer. They actually had to change the free beer rule to only 2 free beers for comics because I drank 7. And the Asian, the Japanese bartender was like, no more for you. You cannot have any more. And I was like, what?
Sounds like, yeah, it sounds like you should just go on a tour over there. It sounds like you'd clean up.
Oh, you have no idea how much I've dreamed of it, Jared. But I'm in love.
Yeah. Well, okay. How many road? I mean, how far have you kind of branched out?
What do you mean? Like, what in what sense?
I mean, you're saying that you're going on all these essentially like road shows. I mean, you just said that you were over in Tokyo. You've done New York, or you've done open mics in Cedar Rapids. Kind of, have you been all over the U.S.?
It's kind of like I like to travel. That's like one of my favorite things to do, and I think that's another reason why I want to stick with stand-up comedy because it involves a lot of travel, and I love meeting new people. So when I do go travel, if it's for like even just a random vacation or whatever, I try to find a open mic to get to, and then kind of see where it goes from there. I'm a very wherever the wind blows me, and like whatever works out in that moment. I'm a terrible planner. I am not organized. So then when I go to an open mic and somebody's like, what are you doing tomorrow? I'm like, nothing. Like, get me on this show. And it ends up working out. And I feel like that's a big thing in the comedy world is you need to be open and like free for these kinds of things or else you're not going to make it. Like there is a booker in Seattle. Her name is Pat Wilson, and she has been in the industry for a very long time, and she's very well known here on the West Coast. If you're booked by Pat Wilson, then you're probably gonna like go on stage with like Jerry Seinfeld or something, you know, like seriously, like that was the first thing she said when she was like, I booked Jerry Seinfeld, I booked Larry the Cable Guy, and she's like naming all these guys because like from all bunch of different eras. Yeah, and she's amazing, and I hope one day I'll be booked by her. She told me when I had 90 minutes. To give her a call. So that was cool. That was a cool thing that happened. But what I was going with this is she told us, she's like, if you're going to be a comedian, you're not going to be able to go to that wedding. You're not going to be able to go to your dad's like 60th birthday. You're not going to be able to go to a funeral. Like if you want to be a comedian, you have to do that first and foremost. You're not going to be able to move to Austin with your boyfriend. Like you're not going to be able to do all these things because it's your career that's going to come first, and one show can change your entire career. So make sure that you're at all of them. And I was like, that is crazy.
Hey, at least you're getting all of this advice from these, senior vets and whatnot. I guess that kind of brings me to the next question or whatever. Like, I'm assuming you want this. Like, what's your dream? What like, do you want this to be a full-time thing? You being on the road doing these huge shows.
I mean, that would be the dream. I just want to be a stand-up comedian. I would love to just, like, I know this sounds like stupidly. This sounds like silly, but I just honestly love making people laugh. Mm-hmm. It's my favorite thing to do. And if I can make a living off of that, then I'm just going to... And the thing is, like, about this career is I find that there's not really a cap on, like, how far I can take it. So that's, like, exciting to me because, like, once I get to it... Like, if I've had a job and I get to, like, the pinnacle point of that job... Then I'm like, well, what's the point of me working here anymore? Like, there's nothing I can't advance anymore. Mm-hmm. And, like, the only reason I'm a bartender is because, like, the money's good. But, like, there's no... I'm not trying to be the manager of that bar or the owner of that bar. Like, I'm just a bartender. And it gets, you know... It's kind of like asinine after a while. So with comedy, it's like... There's limitless things I can do. Like, world tour, maybe. Like, I don't know. Maybe a museum. I'm not sure. Like, who knows? So there's, like, limitless things. And so that's why I want to do it. I want to get as far as I can and see how far I can go. But for right now, I just want to be able to do comedy and not have another job, I think is my goal right now.
Yeah, from what it sounds like, yeah, you just want it. You don't want it to be, I mean, if you got rich, famous, all that glamorous lifestyle, it'd be awesome. But again, if you can pay the bills with it, it sounds like you'd be content with that as well. For
sure. I always want to, like, grow as a comic and a person. I always want to be advancing, learning things. But yeah, at the end of the day, if I can pay my bills doing comedy, then I think that would make me very happy, for sure.
Yeah, maybe you should type in how to pay bills via comedy into Google, and it'll give you the answer.
I know. What if, like, later I'm on, like, Letterman. It's like, I just Googled it, man.
Yeah, it's like, how'd you get here? The computer told me.
I don't know. Have you tried Googling it? Like, everybody else is, oh, it's too easy. That's like an old woman, like, selling a Ferrari for $50. Like, that's not going to happen. Not unless you try, though.
Yeah. Okay. One last comedy question, then we can kind of move on. Hecklers. Have you had any, and how do you deal with them?
Yeah, I've had hecklers. I've never had anyone actively be like, boo, Gina, boo. I've never had anybody, like, not like me. I've had people who, like, think that they need to participate, and I've had to, like, shut them down before. But the only negative heckler I've ever had was just, like, somebody that, like, really wasn't supposed to be there. Like, it was an open mic, and I think she just kind of wandered in, and she was just making a big old fuss and was, like, drunk, and, like, it was never anything crazy. Like, but I try to deal with them, like, if they're talking, I'll act like a teacher. Like, I'll sit there and wait and, like, stare at them, you know, and be like, I'll wait. Are you done? Are you done talking? Okay. And I know it sounds, like, mean, but I'll there's definitely been guys where I'm like, if he's with, like, a girlfriend or something, and, like, if he's talking, I'm like, hey, like, you're already doing enough disappointing her. You don't have to disappoint the rest of us. And, like, one of my favorite ones to say is probably, hey, like, I know you might think that this is a conversation between me and you, but like most conversations I have, I'm saying something more interesting. So please be quiet. People have paid money to see me, not you. And I've said that at a really big show, and I got, like, a crazy applause. So sometimes I like hecklers because they eat up my time. Yeah. And then, like, audience people love it when comics call out hecklers. They, like, love it. And it's kind of like it's like an easy way out to have, like, a good show if you can handle it well. But I mean, it doesn't hurt. That's kind of like finding $5 on the floor, like, before you go into the grocery store. You're like, oh shit, all right. I wasn't expecting this, but I'm glad it happened.
For some reason in my mind, it's like playing Smash Bros. And then all of a sudden a new challenger approaches and you're trying to take down the heckler.
Heckler.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, it's just from my point of view, it's like they want attention, but then when you give them attention, they get embarrassed and they're like, "No, don't focus on me, don't focus on me." And
it's like too
yeah,
late. We're going.
Yeah. It's like you're on this ride with me now.
Honestly, I'd rather have a heckler that didn't like me because then I could be mean to them. Mm-hmm. But if I had a heckler, like I've had friends come, friends that are hecklers are probably way worse than a heckler that like doesn't like you because they love you and they're trying to support you, and then they're like, yeah, Gina, like, oh, I remember that, and I'm like, seriously, stop, like I'm working, like, like I had a show recently where I had a table full of friends and they were so drunk, and I was on for like 30 minutes and they would not stop talking, and I finally turned to them. I was like, guys, I love you. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Look at me. Stop fucking talking. You're ruining my life. And like the audience liked it a lot, but I would just like walk straight up to their table and like slam my hand down like with the microphone. I was like, shut up. Because I love them and they paid money to be there, and like I know that it's just, and then afterwards they were so sad. They like came up to me and they're like, oh my God, Gina, I'm so sorry. And it's like breaking my heart. And I'm like, it's fine.
I'm assuming alcohol was involved.
Oh, most successful comedy shows, alcohol is involved. Mm-hmm. Most successful ones.
So if anything, they can, they'll feel bad, but just blame it on the alcohol. Yep.
They walked out singing that song, actually, so.
Now a word from our sponsors. Do you want to start investing but haven't a clue where to begin because of the high commission fees and intimidating financial jargon? Well, look no further because Robinhood is here to save the day, the commission-free investing app. With Robinhood, you are able to trade stocks, funds, options, and even cryptocurrency. And with no commission fees, no minimums, no velvet rope, to get started. They even offer fractional stock trading for those of you on a budget. Many young people wait far too long to start investing, so why not start today? Either to prepare for retirement or gain a few extra schmeckles for a fun weekend vacation. Right now, if you sign up using the download code below or in the description, you will be gifted with a stock from Apple, Ford, Facebook, or many others absolutely free. Don't wait until tomorrow because today is the best time to start. Investing should be free and easy, and now it is with Robinhood. Do you love to read but simply cannot find the time to enjoy your favorite books? Or, did you actually forget how to read? Well, try Audible today. Audible is the world's largest seller and producer of audiobooks and other spoken word entertainment, enriching the lives of millions of listeners every day. With their customer-centric approach to technological innovation and superior programming, Audible has reinvented a media category and is the driving force behind today's audio entertainment revolution. And if you sign up today, you can enjoy a 30-day free trial, which includes 1 audiobook and 2 Audible originals absolutely free. Simply click the link in the description of this video to get signed up and enjoy unlimited audio entertainment with Audible. Now, back to the show. Okay, so this is not a good transition at all. I'm not good at transitions, but I guess I caught wind, or I figured this little thing out about you, and again, I don't know you too well, but I saw some of your tweets. I saw that apparently you're from here on Twitter, but you have a love for Final Fantasy X. Is this correct?
Oh, yeah. That's like literally my favorite video game. I probably play it once a year.
Oh my gosh, you are the right person to be talking to me right now because yeah, I guess start. How did you fall into it? Had you ever played any Final Fantasy or role playing games like that before? What made it stand out to you as like your favorite? Tell me everything.
Okay. I don't know how old I was, but
okay,
I have 2 older brothers. Yeah, I know. I have 2 older brothers, and they loved video games. They played them all the time. We shared like Nintendo's N64, and then PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and well, actually, I ended up having the PlayStation 3. But anyways, So my parents would always buy, like, they would go to the video game store, like, for Christmas and whatever, and they would each get us a game every year for Christmas, and we'd play the crap out of it for months. And my oldest brother, Nolan, loved Final Fantasy games, and so he would play them, get bored of them, and then I would play them. And it was just, like, I would seriously be, like, 6. And I remember the first game I played was Final Fantasy 7. And then I remember, like, playing Final Fantasy 8, and I was like, these graphics are so much better. Why have I been playing this shit game over here? And, like, Final Fantasy 7 is probably the most, like, recognized video game, and I was like, screw that shit. I'm with Squall now. Fuck Cloud.
Oh, yeah, and that Gunblade.
And then, that Gunblade was so dope, and then he has got the matching scar with the other guy. I probably watched that opening sequence, like, I would just have it replaying itself from the title screen. The, like, opera, like, that is literally the best song to run to, by the way. If you ever want to go running, just listen to the opening theme from Final Fantasy VIII and, like, just start sprinting. It's amazing.
It just gets you fucking going.
It gets me going, dude. We skipped 9. I played it in recent years, but I didn't grow up with it. And then 10 came out because PlayStation 2 came out. So, like, before all this, like, it's all subtitles, you know? And then PlayStation 2 came out, and the graphics, like, it was like watching real life. And, like, I remember Christmas Day when we got Final Fantasy X, we're all watching, like, the opening credits, and we're just, like, freaking out, all 3 of us. And then Titus starts talking, and then you're like, what?
There's a voice cast in this game.
And I had the biggest crush on Titus.
Of course.
Probably still now. Probably still now. He's an idiot, but, like, I loved him. He was blonde, like, sports player.
Surfer-ish.
Yes, and, like, oh my god. And I was, like, in love with him. And then Yuna shows up and, like, Riku, and I was like, both of these girls are amazing, and I want to be both of them. I remember I did play Final Fantasy X too. And
oh, yeah.
So, you know how Yuna had that, like, really long ponytail that was wrapped up in ribbon? When I was in 6th grade, I told my mom that I wanted that haircut. And so for, like, my entire 6th grade year, I had this rat tail sticking out from my hair. So my hair was, like, shoulder length, and then I had this, like, little part that was, like, longer than the rest of my hair.
But did you, like, braid it up like her, or you just literally?
It never got long enough.
Rat tail.
It was just this huge rat tail. It never was long enough for me to braid. My hair, I found out later, my hair doesn't really grow past, like, my shoulder blades. I think that's just, like, a genetic thing. Like, people's hair grows a certain length and then stops. So, like, mine wouldn't grow past my shoulder blades. So I just had this, like, rat tail hanging out. And, like, I got made fun of it so hard. And I was like, they'll all see. They'll all see eventually how fucking cool I am. I got bullied for that.
And it didn't pan out.
Oh, no, I brought the game into the hairdresser, and I was like, you see this? This is what I want. Make it happen. And she was like, that's a terrible idea. And I was like, I'm not paying you, but my mom is, so you better do it.
You're like, hairdresser, these video games are lifelike. I want to be just like this video game.
Yeah. So no, I was obsessed. I was obsessed, man.
Well, that's the thing is, I think that it hit at the right time for people our age or whatever, because again, I had been exposed to 7, I had played 8, I'd never even touched 9. I just know that, like, the main character has a tail, I believe.
Oh, you should definitely play 9. The remastered version is available. You should play it. It's a very good game. Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, I should dabble in that one. But yeah,
Write
Fantasy
that
X.
down.
For that one, I think, like, a friend or someone brought it over. I was like, holy crap, this is the first time that, again, like you said, the graphics are amazing, the voice cast, but it was the first time that you actually got to play with the summons rather than just a one-time use. And I was I was blown away.
I straight up know, like I said, I was probably like 10. I think it was like 10 when this game came out. Like 10 or I had to have been 10.
I think it came out in 2000. It looks like 2001.
Jared, I don't know math. what is that?
So you were
5,
8.
6, 8, some whatever.
I don't know.
8,
I don't know.
10, doesn't matter. I'm not gonna tell people what year I was born, so they don't think I'm an idiot. Anyways, like this bitch. But I straight up know every like move, like with the summons. I don't know how to explain it. So like I would go outside and play and pretend I was like summoning, and like whatever Yuna did, like with the summons, I could do it like to a T. Like you could probably set me up
For
side
each of
by
the
side.
different summons.
Oh yeah. So I would just pretend I was Yuna doing, like, I remember Shiva, like she comes out of the diamond thing, and then
and shatters.
she throws her towel at Yuna.
Oh
and
yeah.
Yuna catches it like a little bitch. She's like, ah. And then like Shiva's like standing there like all hot and shit. And I was like, I would do that in the woods. I would do the Aeon part, and then I would do Yuna's part and like pretend I had no friends.
No, it sounds like you were hardcore into this game, and that's all that matters.
Yep. That's all that
So
matters
so
now.
was it the voice cast? Was it the graphics? What jumped out at you? And obviously it hit you at that age that you said you play it like once a year.
I mean, the storyline is like awesome. I remember, so I played it a lot growing up, and then I kind of died off. And then I remember I saw that it was getting remastered for PlayStation 3, and I didn't have one yet, so I saved up. I ended up buying a PlayStation 3 for my friend, and that was the first game I bought. And ever since then, I think that was 2015 I got it, and ever since then I've been playing it probably once a year full through, trying to get 100%. I do have a master slave file that I like am constantly still like doing crap in, but yeah, I don't know, the storyline definitely got me hooked as an adult, because as a kid I didn't know. I was like, yep, I know all the characters and they're all fighting and doing fun adventures together, nothing's going wrong. And then as an adult, I remember the first year I replayed it, I straight up cried at the end. I was like old and like adult, and like I shouldn't have been this emotional, but I like watched the ending, like when Yuna leaves that sphere behind when they're going to Xanarkin, and Titus listens to it, and then the song starts playing. Oh
yeah, from the main screen or whatever, the title theme kind of.
Yes, yeah, with the piano. And fun fact, the main like piano, like I don't know, riff or something, like the main like dun 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 dun, that thing, that's in like every song. That's like hidden
game?
in some. Yes, it's like in most of the songs. I shouldn't say that, but it's in most of the song soundtrack, and it's like a common theme with most of the songs. So like to Xanarkin, Titus's theme, Yuna's theme, Sukade Day something, the one where she dances and like does the summoning, or the sending,
faith thing at Kilika.
Yeah, when she does the sending at Kilika, like that, it all has the same like main music notes around it. And I thought that was like so cool. And then so they started playing that song at the end, and Titus is watching the sphere, and I'm just like bawling my eyes out. And like I remember my mom walked in, she's like, "It's just a video game." I'm like, "You don't know what's going on.
It's hitting me
She's
on a
gonna
whole different
die
level
for these
now that I'm
people."
an adult.
And then like in recent years, I would watch that again, and I'm like, Titus is acting like an asshole this entire game because he doesn't know Yuna's gonna die. He's like, "Well, let's get you to Xanarkin, babe. Like, what are we waiting for?" And everyone else
he's very
is
much like the clueless main character.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that with the voice acting too, like it's pretty bad voice acting. But like as a kid, I never knew, and yeah, you're just excited about it, so you don't care.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the first time that it was like that. But no, I think I had played through. It's funny because I don't know if you can't see me, but I have the strategy guide from X right here, and I have the X2 strategy guide, and each of them has like a ton of bookmarks in there because I remember I was even when I wasn't playing the game, I would be going through these strategy guides trying to find like items and what monsters dropped items and where I could find them to get those. Like I was there's certain games that I'm not allowed to play anymore, and it's kind of these games because I lose so much time diving into the nitty-gritty details of everything.
Well, that's what I was saying before. Like, I have a master save. It's probably got, oh man, I don't know, like 300 hours on it of just me doing all that gritty bullshit, like word for word strategy guide. And so I've bought that strategy guide as well. I have it like on Apple Books.
Yeah.
And then I have like all the other IGN and the Reddit ones, because like those strategy guides, they straight up like don't have everything, which is crazy to me because you like purchase it. They don't have everything. So you have to like I remember I was so mad playing 10-2 because I followed the strategy guide to a T. And then there's the last, because the way that game works is it goes into like chapters or whatever.
Yep, and percentages.
So, right, and so you have to get the 100% in each chapter or else you can't go back, you know?
Yep.
And so at the end, it's like the very last chapter in Guadalsalam, and there is a locked door that you have to find a key to. And you get to that door and you open it, and there's a chest inside. And depending on the item that is in that chest is telling you how like well you did in the game, if you're going to get like whatever ending. And I remember I didn't get the good like treasure, and I audibly like screamed and just like turned off my PlayStation because I was like so meticulously following the game guide, and I ended up not getting the treasure I was supposed to. And I freaked out because you can't go back. Like, it's over.
Nope. And I will say the good well, it's not the good thing because you're still going to have to put another like 50 plus hours, but you can do the New Game Plus where it keeps the percentage and then you can fill out what you missed. But then it's almost very difficult because it's like, what did I miss?
Yeah. Because
in X2, yeah, I loved like both of them. I feel like they go hand in hand. They both have their cons, pros, cons, all that jazz. But yeah, 10-2, I got like 99.8. I've never seen the good ending.
What?
Yeah, or the perfect ending or whatever.
I've seen a good ending. I mean, I know it. What? I feel like, what did you do wrong? Because I feel like if you...
I think there's... Honestly, I think it's one of those things where there's those like 3 different factions or whatever that you side with. I did something... I don't know. I did something wrong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No, I remember when I first played through... it was just the normal ending where she's just hanging out in Besaid. And then, like, yeah, the second time I played through, I was like, all right, you got to really go for this one. And then Titus shows up, and I'm, like, freaking out. And then...
Spoilers.
I was wondering, yeah, well, it's been out for years.
I know.
Put it at the beginning. I feel like spoilers for a game that's, like, 10 years old. That's, like... That's like
I think you're fine. I think
of,
you're
like,
fine.
The Sixth Sense. Anywho, so I have the remastered pack where you have both of the games. For PlayStation. So did you listen to the audio for like the teaser or whatever for what may be a third game or like what may be a movie? You know what I'm talking about?
Wait, there's like a hint towards a third game or a movie in the disc or on the disc?
Yes. No, it's like, so when you go to pick, it says like Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X-2, and then it's got like a couple other options. One of them is like an audio or gallery look, and as you're looking through those credits and gallery, there's audio playing, and it's Yuna talking about Titus. And it's them living, he's playing Blitzball and Luca. She's living in Besaid still, and like they haven't been going well. And there's like another girl that he's been hanging out with. And like, and it's like, you got to listen to it. I mean, I'm not going to tell you everything. Wow. But it was just, I know. Yeah. And I remember I listened to it and it blew my mind. I was like, there's a third one coming out. And I've been waiting. I've been waiting so long for it.
That would, I mean, again, it's been, who knows when X2 came out, but it's probably been like 15 years since that one came out. I would be there day one to buy that because for some reason these characters, I mean, X2, you don't get all of the characters, you get some of them. But yeah, I don't know. These two really just blend together so much. And again, I was at the, you know how you were saying, you're like, oh, I wanted her hair to be that way, or my hair to be that way, all that jazz. I was like at the perfect age to think that these women were the hottest things ever. So I had a huge crush on Riku, Yuna, hell, even Pain from X2.
No Lulu for you? Or is it the belts? Pain's got some belts.
It's just too much. That overcoat, I can't do the overcoat. You know, it looked like it was hot on Besaid, and she's just wearing this fucking winter coat.
She's a witch, man. I don't know. She can handle it. Her boobs are
guess.
out.
Yeah.
Boobs are out. She's got like a...
I will say that. I don't know. I'm just looking through these images again, and man, it's just... I don't know. The thing I liked about X2 so much is because of all of the different outfits that they gotta wear.
We saw Lulu as like a woman.
What's up?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're very impractical. You see Lulu. I saw Lulu at least as like a woman. I'm like, she's in charge. Like she's super hot, obviously, but like she's like my mom or something. Like I don't know. I couldn't see her as like where Yuna and Riku were like young and fun and playful. I'm like, yeah, those are like girls. Like those are, you know, I don't know how to explain. I guess I saw Lulu as like super old. And then I saw, like, Riku and Yuna as, like, 20. And so I was like, oh, yeah, like, those are, like, women. Like, Lulu's, like, a hag. And then you, like, look it up, and I think Lulu's, like, 24 or something. And Yuna, I think, is...
they're very...
16 in 10?
I think so.
Like
I think, in X2, she's actually, like, 18 or whatever.
Yeah, she's like 19. Everybody's like, yeah, right. Look at those booty shorts.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is they definitely sexified the second game a bit more for all of those teens.
Oh, hell yeah.
I gotta ask this one thing. Okay, you have it for PS3, PS4, whatever. Have you platinumed the game?
No. Probably not. I'm working on it.
Okay. Have you dodged lightning 200 times?
Oh, hell yeah, I have. I gotta send you this tweet. You've never done it?
Okay, I have everything done except for that, and that I think that is a thing that will go, like, when I'm about to die on my deathbed, that's gonna be the final thing I do, and then just call it quits.
Okay, I mean, I have some tips. I'm sure you've heard of them, though. There's, like, a little...
Yep.
It's like right when you leave the Albed Tavern. No, the tavern in Albed in the Thunder Plains. It's like halfway through it, you know? When you walk out from there to the left, like if you're going up the map, to the left there's like a little pond thing. And if there's a spot in the pond, if you start walking towards it, lightning will always strike right there when you get to it. Mm-hmm. Instead of just randomly. So you just go back and forth from there. I mean, you still have to dodge the lightning, but
Gina,
at least
you don't understand. I've been trying this for years and years.
Do you know what I'm talking about, though?
Yeah, no. I know what you're talking about. I just suck at the game.
Oh no! So I've probably. So I try to do the Thunder Plains once a year. So like I said, I've been replaying this game now for like 5 years in a row, trying to like beat it each time. I've probably only done it 3 times, like 3 different saves as an adult. But boy, fuck. So I'd rather dodge lightning though. I would rather dodge lightning than do the chocobo race.
Ooh, okay. I was just gonna say right before you finish that sentence, I was gonna see if you were gonna say that. Okay, they both suck, but I've been able to do the chocobo one every single time.
I can't do it. That's one where, because at least with the Thunder Plains, I can kind of like turn my brain off, sort of.
Yeah. Where
like the chocobo race to me is like so frustrating. Like I have gotten so close before, and then my chocobo just like hangs like a hard left, and then like fucks me over. And oh man. And that lady, she's so patronizing. I wish she would say, ha ha ha, you suck. But instead she's like, oh man, maybe next time. And I'm like, you bitch.
Yep. And that's the thing is, like, you're going to have it, but then a fucking bird or your controller, because I kept switching back and forth. I was like, do I use the D-pad? Do I use the joystick? What do I do? Do I hold X? Do I hold a top button to slow down? Honestly, it is luck. It is 100% luck.
Oh, 100% luck. Like every forum, every thread that I've ever read has like said it's luck. Like I've gotten it on the first try before and then like never gotten. I've literally never gotten it. I've gotten too mad. It makes me way too mad to able to do it.
So that is your lightning to me then. Like,
yeah.
Again, I've done everything else. I know that there's been a couple times I've played through it and like just things that really just fucked up and I had to start over. Like, you know how each of the temples you have to grab an item?
Oh, yeah, you have to grab the destruction sphere.
Yep, to get anima or whatever. Anima? How do you say that? The creepy dude that's underground?
I say anima. I've said anime before, and then somebody was like, "No, it's not, you idiot." And I'm like, "Oh, all right."
Duh, you stupid. You're not even a true fan.
Yeah, I know. I thought, well, Titus's name apparently is Titus, so I mean, fuck that sky high.
Yeah, I'm not gonna accept that.
I'll never accept that. I remember. I don't know if you played Kingdom Hearts, but there is a Titus character in there, and they call him Titus, and I hate it.
Is it actually the same character?
It's the same character, so that's what have you ever played Kingdom Hearts?
I'm aware of it. I know that you had mentioned this before we got on air, but I'm very much aware of it, and I know that there's like 16 different versions where it's like 2.2, 2.3, 2.4.
There's 11. Calm down.
Nope, we're going to go with my first guesstimation.
It's Square Enix and Disney collab, so they have Final Fantasy X characters in the game, and all the other Final Fantasy characters are there too, like main characters. And so there's a point, because in Final Fantasy X, they don't say Titus's name because you can change it at the beginning to something else.
Oh, yeah.
So they're like, oh man, this guy, or like, hey, you, like they never say his name the entire game. And even in X2, Yuna says like, oh, I miss you. Like, I wish you were here. Like, I remember hearing your voice. Like, she never says his name. So wow, my entire life.
You're really bringing this to my realization that I never realized that.
Yeah, and so they never said it. And then Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, and I was playing that. And there's a Waka character, and he was like, oh, yeah, I was over with Titus. And I was like, who the hell is he talking about? I'm pretty sure that's a golf ball, but I don't think they have golf in this game. And then Titus runs over, and I was like, no. And it blew my mind. And to this day, I won't accept it. I hate it so much. I can't handle it.
Oh, I don't think anyone does. I remember hearing that rumor or whatever. And again, I'm like a teen playing this in my basement by myself. I don't know what the names of anything are.
Well, yeah, when we were teenagers, there wasn't like internet to like know. Like you were alone with this game. At least I was.
Oh, yeah.
I straight up alone. Nobody I knew played this except for my older brother. And I'm like 8 years younger than him, so he wanted nothing to do with me. And so it was just like I was alone playing this game, and that was that. And I never was corrected. So that was probably why I called him Anime the entire time, and Titus. Like, I don't know.
I think that's kind of how I was too, because that's why I kind of was attracted to these kind of games. Because again, I feel like as a kid, and it's not. I'm not trying to make it sound like it was sad, but yeah, I sat in my basement a lot and just played games by myself.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I would do it. I would be awake for so long playing video games on any console that I could grab. But it was definitely, Final Fantasy has followed me to adulthood, and it's going to follow me still for a very long time. I've always said if I were to ever go to a Comic-Con, the first Comic-Con I would go to then dress up for, I would be Riku from 10-2. And then I'm like, okay, I have to get like really fit for that. There
you go. Have a bunch of fucking braids all over and your hair all wacko.
I've looked it up. There's wigs you can buy. You can make it up yourself. But like I've gotten into depth about how this needs to play out.
You already have everything's already in your Amazon cart. You just gotta press buy.
Oh, I have a list. Yeah.
So okay, I wouldn't say that. Like I don't like putting labels on things. Like it sounds like you've played quite a few games though. Like what other kind of I don't know, role playing games, anything. What else are you into?
So I'm definitely into Kingdom Hearts. I know. That is probably, so I will say, like, Square Enix is notorious for making the most complicated storylines ever invented. So Final Final Fantasy 10, 10-2, obviously. I got Final Fantasy 15 when that came out, and I think it was 2016. I love it. I know there was a lot of controversy about it. I found that if you got the season pass, then like you shouldn't be upset about anything because they're progressing the storyline. So did you play 15 or am I just talking to myself right now?
No, I'm aware of it. I haven't played it, but with those newer versions, isn't it all open? It's not like turn-based or quick time.
Yeah.
It's like open world, isn't it?
It's open world, so you can walk up to a monster and fight it. It's not, obviously, like the map isn't as big as Skyrim, and there are some closed off areas that you need to get advanced in the storyline before you can go to those areas.
Yeah.
But that I really liked that game. I thought it was well done. The graphics were astonishing to me. The bro tribe of the 4 dudes hanging out, and like you really like grow with them because they're like kind of distant at the beginning, but at the end of the game you are bawling your eyes out about these men. And it's just, I don't know. All in all, I thought it was a great game. I had a great time playing it. And the DLCs that came after. So the whole point of the game is you play as Noctis, the prince, and you're following his point of view for the entirety of the game. So there's crap going on that you're like, why did this happen? And it's never explained because you're just going through what he's going through. And then the DLCs are the other parts of the story that you didn't see happen. And I think that is so cool because it's like playing a TV show, you know? And I think that might be the future of gaming because then that way, if you really do enjoy the game, then you can keep playing it forever. Well, not forever, but until it's over. And I am really interested in seeing how well that will play out later. So
definitely getting it. If something explodes, it's like, well, what the hell? What was that? And then getting that side story of you maybe playing as a different character and it explaining that. I do like that. Again, I haven't played it. I'm very aware of it because it's like these dude bros on a road trip taking like a spaceship car or whatever.
I think there's a guy, he makes like comic strips, and I think it's called like 4 Bros in a Car or something like that. And it's just like dumb comic strips about Final Fantasy 15, and I found them on Tumblr. It's like so funny. But yeah, that game's great. I got really into that. Like I said, I got really into the Kingdom Hearts franchise. I believe there's 10 games in one movie. I could be wrong. It could be 9 games in one movie. And the timeline, like I said, Square Enix, that timeline is just ridiculous. It makes no sense at all. And like it takes work. I've made timeline like graphs playing those games and like putting I've made trees of how like characters are like connected to one another. And because there's so many, there's Square Enix characters and then there's Disney characters, so it makes it easy to remember those guys. But then there's Kingdom Hearts characters that are in and out constantly. And the way that the games were released is just like the timeline the games were released, like they don't go in order for the story. No.
Again, I'm not even aware of this, but I know that it's just fucking bonkers how
it is
everything
insane.
Was either made, released, or both.
Yes. It was just insane. And then last year is when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, and you're like, all right, this is it. And then you get to the end of the game, and you're like, it's not over. Like, I simultaneously love this game, but it is also ruining my life.
I mean, think about it. If you started playing with the first one, it's probably been, 15 years?
Oh, yeah. I think 2001 actually is when 2001 or 2002 is actually when the first one came out. And then Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, like, 9 years later. And then Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, like I don't know. Yeah, 9 or, 10 years later. It was, it was just crazy. And I've been playing this game my entire life.
And were you satisfied with 3, or are you kind of just like, are you kidding me? I still have to keep going?
I wouldn't say like that. If anything, because I just said with Final Fantasy 15, it's cool that you get to keep playing it. So in a way, that's how I've been seeing it now. Is like you just get to keep playing. So like, what's the problem? I think it's like any TV show. Like if there's a great first season and then they come out with a second season, you're like, not as great. Then the third season comes out and you're like, oh, never mind. They're getting back at it. It's kind of like that for me. So Kingdom Hearts 3 got a lot of shit on like reviews in the internet. I remember before that came out, I was like, I am going to sit down and I'm going to play all of the games completely through. And then when 3 comes out, I'll be ready to understand everything that's going to be thrown at me. So I played all of those games. Mind you, I bought all of the...
Did you set aside a month?
Oh, yeah. This is also pre-Cody. So, like, I did not have a boyfriend. I was doing work and comedy and Kingdom Hearts. Like, that was my life.
The trifecta right there.
To be a good comic. Get really involved in this. And so I played all of them. And the way that you can do it now is you can buy the mixes. So there's 3, I think, there's 3 mixes you can buy. There's mix 1, mix 2, and 2.5 or 2.8. And each one has 3 games, and one of them has 2 games in a movie. Some of these games were for Game Boy Advance. So they just remastered it so you could play it on PlayStation.
Okay.
So they're not good. There's no like extra like it's just the main characters and the enemies, and there's no like extra shit. Like the maps are terrible, the voice acting is horrendous, and I went through hell. And each game is like on average like 50 hours. So like you're playing through these games, and I'm losing my mind. And then I finally get to the last thing, and then I piece it all together. And then to even as an extra recap, I watched all of the cutscenes on YouTube, which is basically a 2-hour movie per game.
Oh, yeah.
So I just marathoned that, and then I played Kingdom Hearts 3, and I was like, all right, I'm ready. And then this is why I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is getting too much shit, because I played all of those games for, like you said, like a month straight. And then I played Kingdom Hearts 3. I didn't know when the cutscenes ended and the gameplay started. The graphics were astonishing. Like, you would run through a puddle and, like, Sora's pants would be wet for, like, a few minutes after. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And you get to, like, run up walls. And it's pretty open map. Like, the maps are pretty open. There's no, like, cuts between, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, areas? Sometimes there is, but, like, for the most part, there's not. And it was just, I don't know. I really liked it. Another thing that I really liked about it was when you do play them all through, like, all straight through, they set up the story somehow. So then you start like, with no skills again. So, like, you just got done with a game where you could, like, double jump and run around and, like, double attack and like dodge roll and all this stuff, and then they're like, oh no, Sora lost his memory, so then you have to like start over, and it's so frustrating. But then you start with 3 and it's like none of that shit happened, and you can still do all the extra bullshit. So you get like your muscle memory, you know, gets aggravated if you can't do the things you thought you could already do. And so personally, I don't know, I had a great time with the game. It made me laugh and cry, and like anytime Goofy literally does anything selfless, I end up crying. Because you're with Goofy and Donald the entire time, and there's like every game Goofy protects you somehow, and I just start bawling. I have to like pause the game. If Donald does anything, fuck him. But like if Goofy does anything, I am just bawling my eyes out.
Yeah. It sounds like we could have a whole episode of you just honestly just educating me on Kingdom Hearts and the whole lore and everything in that world.
Oh yeah, you opened up a can of worms for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we definitely could talk a whole lot more about that and whatnot. Well, I'll have to get you on another one so then we can you could break down everything for me, or actually I'll have to play a couple of the games and then try to explain it. Or
I'll give you a good like a beginner list of the games and how you should play them. Because if you really shouldn't play all of them. Like I said, the ones that are on Game Boy Advance, and people will argue with me about this, but they're not good. It helps with the storyline immensely, but that's the only reason. So honestly, I would give you a list of the games that you should play, and then you should just watch the cutscenes for the other ones. Or you can ruin your life like I did and do it if you want to, because it is quite a challenge.
I don't have a month of free time. Come on.
Are you sure, Evan? But okay, well, all right. Well, then I'll give you a list of things you can play, and then we'll have a follow-up episode about Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, actually, that will be really good because again, I don't want to play these Game Boy Advance games or whatever. Because
Oh,
okay,
God, they're
are those
terrible.
ones they obviously brought them to PlayStation, but are those still 50-hour games?
They're pretty long.
Yeah.
I think it was Chain of Memories. I played that because, like I said, I'm so eager to like do everything too. So I'm playing it with a game guide. And I like to go slow with that kind of stuff. I'm not a speedrunner at all with games. It bothers me so much if I leave like a single coin behind, let alone
Yep.
like speedrun a entire video game. It doesn't interest me. So I do go slow. So I said I probably spent on average 50 hours a game. And then I think 3, I ended up spending like 80. I did go a bit faster because I was so eager with the storyline, but I probably will go back and replay it completely again. So, but
Jeez.
they're a good time. You're gonna like because it's got the nostalgia of like Disney and Final Fantasy, and I just that is like the craziest combination of childhood for me because I was obsessed with both. Because you get to go to all the different Disney like worlds and with Final Fantasy characters, and it just blew my mind, and it still does to this day.
Yeah, I think it's just an odd. I don't know who, where, how they came to be that combination, but yeah, I know that there's tons of fans out there and stuff, and I know a lot of people had been clamoring and waiting for 3 because I listened to a bunch of other stuff, and yeah, they kept talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. So yeah, it sounds like Kingdom Hearts is definitely. If there's people out there that share the same love for Kingdom Hearts, be sure to comment down below or do something because again, it might have hit you at the right time, right place, and everything like you're saying, Gina.
Definitely.
Okay, well, yeah, that's pretty much the episode because we went in the weeds about the games at the end or whatever. Gina, thank you so much for coming over, talking about a little bit of comedy and how apparently if you just Google things, you will learn it. And then going in depth on Kingdom Hearts. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. Like I said before, I'm so happy that somebody wanted to prompt me with questions instead of me just like awkwardly throwing my knowledge into random conversations.
Yeah, I saw that you tweeted something from Final Fantasy, and then again, as you guys know from listening to this, that opened up a whole can of worms, and it was a very educational, in-depth educational type episode. Gina, again, thank you so much for joining me. Where can people kind of find your stuff, follow you, all of that stuff? Pimp out your stuff right now.
I would suggest Facebook and Instagram for comedy. Twitter, I guess, for everything else. My Facebook page is Gina Marie Christopher, and then as a comedian. And then my Instagram is also Gina Marie Christopher, all one word. And Twitter, I think it's just Damn Gina with 3 A's and 2 underscores in between Damn and Gina.
There you go, people. Yeah, all of those links and all of her social media stuff will be down in the description down below. Again, Gina, thank you so much for joining me. Again, I don't rarely get to talk about Final Fantasy X or X2, so this was very much a pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you, Jared.